Tom's got other duties today, but he's trying to work us in. So if he turns out he can't make it, then we'll go into this in more detail later. But Tom has been the SOFM, FM for years and years, and he can explain this better than anybody in Division 6. You should have a transfer of records, documents, correspondence, and the FLOTILLA notebook. Here's one of those things again that we kind of look at because it was written in 1999. My FLOTILLA notebook consisted of a stick. I went to my FLOTILLA Commanders Academy. They gave all of us an orange stick with a material on it. We were to pass it down from FLOTILLA Commander to FLOTILLA Commander, and I saw one yesterday that was being used. And they, they said, yeah, I said, we've got still the same, they let me look at it, still got everything that was on there, 8 years ago, and, but they've added a bunch of new stuff to it. So if you don't have that, because if you didn't go to that academy, you didn't get a stick. So if you don't have a stick, you can look at that, or however you want to set up, but it's real easy to transfer your records when you just hand that thing over. In there, you would want your roster or member list, inventory, financial reports, minutes of the FLOTILLA meetings, the silver ore, correspondence, the FLOTILLA staff officer reports, just about all of this stuff we get electronically now, so it's real easy to put it on a stick. The calendar, you're probably going to make it up on your computer. It'll be electronic, so this is, and as far as your roster goes, you can actually, in the auxiliary directory, depending on where you go, if you're searching just for one name, it'll take you to that one name, but if you scroll down and you click on, get down to Division 6 and click on your FLOTILLA, you can show the elected, or you can show the officers, you can show just the staff, or you can show all the members. So you've got that electronically. It's real easy. A to-do list, directives. Every time we have a change of watch at Sector Houston Galveston, the captain that's there will be transferring out this summer. We'll have a new captain coming in. One of the things they normally do is they set at least for the surface side, they set parameters, an operating procedure. They set parameters that we can go out in, that we can stay out in, that we can't go out in, and several other things, just 4 or 5 pages long. It's just a directive from them. We get directives from DIROCs, These things come to us by email. Again, you can put it on a stick. New member pledge can be on a stick, but I suggest that you take this with you to every FLOTILLA meeting. It's always handy to have, and that includes your oath of office.
And it was very expensive to laminate this.
Yeah, and we're on budget constraint. It's a funny thing, a comment was made to me about, I don't know how many of you are doing the webinar FCA thing. It's a pretty good deal. I did the one Wednesday night, and they explained about budget constraints. I'll just throw this in there. But the timing was so off. It wasn't. I noticed it and one or two others noticed it. They're talking about, you know, you're the flotilla commanders and these are the people that have the boots on the water and the boots in the air. And this is where it all happens. And we've got budget constraints and we can't spend the money to train them. And I'm going, I don't think those two things go together. It just didn't flow for me. But anyway,
Hey, Harry?
yes, sir.
I'm real glad you touched on this notebook, because I'm still, here it is November, I'm still piecing together records for the flotilla, but some things that should go on that list that, unless you have another slide coming up, now we all have new standing rules, and we all have an original signed copy, of those should be stored and handed down, otherwise they're gonna get lost in a year or two. And then the emergency management plan for each flotilla, the hurricane plan, that should be out there as well.
Well, one of the things I was gonna talk about is a friend of mine who's been a flotilla commander and he had a very good flotilla commander. He was just a little bit disorganized, but he was great in all other areas. And he said, I just gave him a copy of the standing rules. It took too long to get them signed. Said, I've still got the original in my safe. And said, he knows it. But he said, he's got a copy in the notebook. So, I don't know, maybe somebody else put theirs in a safe deposit box or whatever, but, yeah, and again, with the emergency management plan, these are the things that you're gonna put together, and if you want them in a notebook, I'm not telling you not to. And some of them you're gonna want hard copies of, you're not gonna want them electronically. Or maybe you want them both ways, but yeah, do that. If your flotilla does not have a proctor, and you're only allowed one proctor per flotilla now, if your flotilla does not have a proctor, and you have someone that's qualified to become a proctor, you can submit their name to the division commander, and they will take it from there. It goes to Dial Rocks to the OTO, and the OTO reviews it, and then the OTO sends it to me as ADSOMT, and then I review it, and then I send it back to the OTO telling him, yes, I talked to the person and all's good, and then the OTO approves, then the OTO submits to Commander Hellstrom for appointment. Anyway, it's kind of a slow process, but that's what they do, so it works. Yes, sir.
We follow the same process to change the one we have?
Yes, sir. Well, all you have to do is, on changing the one you have, is you have to just send a letter to the division commander saying we want to remove him, and then you pick whoever you want to replace him. This has happened, I want to replace, so-and-so said he doesn't want to do the job anymore, so I want to replace him with this person. And that was the email that I got from that the division commander sent to OTO, who sent it to me, and so I mean, it's real simple. What committees should you consider? Well, the first two, budget and audit, gotta have them. Wards committee, seeing as how I feel like I'm talking about this a little bit late, but I know y'all are starting next year. Awards committee, we can give awards all year long. We don't have to wait for a division meeting or the division banquet. If you have someone deserving of an award, write it up, put it in, let's get it to them. If they show up at the division banquet, they're gonna be wearing a ribbon, or they're gonna be wearing a medal, whatever. But I mean, they will have had it, and they'll be recognized by the fact that they're wearing it. The fellowship committee, it can be a whole lot or a little bit. Ours has kind of grown into a small monster, but everybody likes it, so we continue to do it. But, you know, that's okay. New member and recruitment, maybe your HR person wants to handle all that, or maybe your HR person might need a little help. Maybe your HR person is also your flotilla commander-elect, and so he's gonna have his boat loaded, so maybe he wants to appoint someone to work with new members and help him with recruitment. And then screening, I wasn't sure what that meant, and I researched it, and the best I can tell is it goes with new members and recruitments and stuff such as that.
Last night they said it was the nominating committee.
Well, I thought about that too, but I just didn't like the word. I like nominating
I do
committee.
too, I think it's misleading, but
Yes.
that's what they were putting out last night.
I
Yeah.
believe you're right, when you think of it.
Yeah.
I think they do call it that.
And that's another thing, is Pat and I have been working on this for a month, and when they had the webinar on Wednesday night, they stole all our ideas. So apparently, they went to the same manual that we went to put our slides together, which, you know what that tells me? We're all standardized, we're using the commandant's instructions, we're doing what we're supposed to do, and I was sad that they were banging this out 3 days before we were going to, but I was happy to know that the standardization process works.
Even though all the manuals are outdated.
Yes.
Harry?
Yes, sir.
Well, I know that's supposed to be a nominating committee, but you mentioned screening new members. I do that. And it's, why waste time sending an application to DIROC for somebody you know is not gonna be approved? Because I had a member fill in an application, and I checked our county criminal record. It's easy to do, it's public record. He's been convicted of arson and malicious mischief.
So they falsified the part that said, I have not been convicted of a felony?
Falsified. So his application didn't go any farther.
That falls under tampering with the federal document, that actually is,
Well, it does,
So that's making a false statement, yeah.
Maybe
false
make
statements,
false
yeah.
That's 18,001.
Yeah.
In that case, I could still forward it on there.
And you can do the same thing in Harris County, they have a similar website. Or just Google the guy.
Grants, I don't know how many people have, grant money, or have applied for grant money, or even know how to apply for grant money. But I will tell you this, they're looking for a new DSO grant writer.
we just got one, we're good.
Okay, good deal.
Yeah, we got one.
So, if you want to apply for grants, or if you want to learn how to apply for grants, let your division, okay. In this case, you would go through your chief of staff, who is your vice. You know, if one of your members wants to, if it's one of the elected officers, they would go to the division commander, and then she would send it to, or he would send it to the district captain, who would send it to the chief of staff, which is Al Harding, and he would get it to the DSO grant writer and say, I want to know how to apply for grants, I want to know how to get this grant specifically, you know, whatever. And so they would contact you probably back down the chain, or they might decide that the best thing to do is go one-on-one with them and let everybody else down the chain know that they've contacted you, but there is money out there.
Back up 3 acronyms now.
Yeah.
Okay,
The first person I tell my person who wants to learn how to do a grant, he needs to contact.
let me rephrase. If you get a member request or wants to apply for a grant,
Right.
you as either vice commander or flotilla commander would send that request to the division commander. which right now is Chuck, which on January 1 is gonna be Pat. In turn, Pat would send it to the district captain, who on January 1 is gonna be Chuck.
Keep it in the family.
Chuck, Division Captain Chuck, is going to send that to Chief of Staff Al Harding, who is going to send that to his staff member, district staff officer, grant writer, whoever.
I stopped at Pat's, that's it.
Yeah.
I
I get carried away, and sometimes I can't even spell my name, but I do talk in tongue. Yes, ma'am.
If you're interested in applying for a grant, would it be a grant in a person's name, or is it a grant to the entire flotilla? Or it could be either.
Well, that's what the grant writer will explain.
Okay.
I've never applied for one, so I don't know.
Actually, a long time ago, I used to be in research, biomedical
Yeah.
research, so it was a long time ago, but I'm familiar
Yeah.
with that.
The grant writer can help you out with that.
Because usually it's headed by a couple of people, but it's through an institution often, you know,
Yeah.
with that type of grant.
Also, verify change of membership status for all delinquent dues members and send to DIROCS for disenrollment. Okay, in January, we're gonna schedule the annual workshops. First thing comes to mind, 1 hour TCT. Get it out of the way. You might wanna schedule it 2 or 3 times, you might put that on the calendar.
I heard the other night, they were scheduling an IT, an instructor workshop.
Possibility.
The possibility of an instructor workshop that will be coming down through.
That
I don't know
will
if that's
be,
gonna be national DIROCS saying they
Those are
want it.
Those are gonna be
they're
mandatory.
gonna be
And they will be
mandatory,
mandatory.
but it's not finalized yet.
Okay, that's one of those things we'll hold back on.
Yes. The standing rules, you should, as flotilla commander, I was always looking in there for one thing or another, and you will be too. But they're recommending that you review the standing rules every 4 years. Well, basically, our standing rules are promulgated by national, and we only get to add appendixes to them anyway, and maybe set the percentage for quorum and the meeting date. So, you can review them, but they're pretty much set in stone the way they are. Your appendices can be changed, and that would be something to look at. You need the reports for the audit and budget committee, because you're gonna take the finance report, and Tom will talk about that. And you're gonna send that to DIROCS, you're gonna send it to the division commander and the district commodore, the DA commodore. Which, for those of you who don't know, is going to be Larry King next year. In February, we normally have a district conference. You'll want to attend that. Talk of the town is it's going to be in Mobile this year
At the Adams Mark Hotel.
at the Adams Mark Hotel. So it's not quite as far as Fort Walton Beach, but anyway, that's where it's going to be. You have to make sure that your FSO, Flotilla Staff Officer Finance, sends in the dues to the division staff officer for finance before the 15th of February. And Tom is real good about sending you a bill. And you might, I'm not sure how he does it now, but he used to send out and just say, you send your bill, said you owe me $100. And then he got to where he was itemizing the bill and saying, now, you've got 52 members, and I need $30 for each member, so you owe me $1,560. You know, so whatever he does, but have your finance officer look it over, you look it over. Every once in a while, they'll get a name on there that belongs to another flotilla, but not too often. And these bills Tom gets from district, who gets them from national. So it's Tom isn't the one that makes this up. He just is forwarding on what he got. You want to review your flotilla website, talk to your FSOCS, your communication services. If you need any changes to your website, talk to your FSO TV, your publisher, about your newsletter, if you have one. You know, not all flotillas have one, but if you do, if you want to do things a little bit different, you're the flotilla commander, you can ask them to change things up a little bit. Sometimes they'll tell you that it's impossible to do what you want to do, but talk to them. There's ways to jazz things up and put your touch on it. And this is something that we talked about in committees. You might want a grant committee. You're looking for different grants that the flotilla might apply for some projects. March, this says begin preparation of awards and submit in July. We still maintain that you're always you put your awards committee in January, and you're always, anybody in any flotilla can recommend anybody else in any flotilla for an award. I've worked with a lot of people from a lot of different flotillas, and if I see excellence from Jim Walker up in 6'9", and even though I'm from 6'3", I can put Jim in for some kind of award. That's so, you know, think about that. I know Jack works with a whole lot of people from different flotillas in the youth exposition, and I know that they've gotten awards before. So, you know, this is one of those things where Jack's followed up on that. It's just, you know, but always remember, you're working not only with other people, but you're working most of the time with the people in your flotilla. And that's the only paycheck they get is an award. You know, we don't make a whole lot of money doing this. I get so tickled when they're talking about dialogues and budget got cut. I mean, man, I never even had a budget. You know, you want some wine with that, cheese with that wine or what? I'm sorry. The quarterly review of the staff goals. John, how often do the 6-3 have staff meetings?
Every other month.
You know, we haven't had one probably in about 3 months, but it's a slow time of the year. But when February gets here and we know we're going to start rocking and rolling in March and April and May, they have John's been our vice commander and our chief of staff, and so he gets the staff together and we have our meetings and talk about what we're going to do. So, you know, have a review, sit down. By this time, you've talked to the members to find out what they want to do, and you sit down and talk to your staff officers and say, okay, that's what the members want to do. What have you come up with? We're going to set goals. And I know some flotillas here, they use the silver oar guideline as a goal. I mean, the qualifiers for the silver oar, that's our goal. We want to meet, you know, we want to meet the qualifiers in 5 of the categories. We want to meet qualifiers in all of the categories. You know, whatever your goals are, y'all set those. Another way to do it is, I look in at the performance service awards that are in the Hawks manual in, I think, chapter 10. And when you see that, you say, you know, if I got in 60 hours underway on a boat, I'm gonna get recognized. I'm gonna get a certificate. In some cases, I might get a ribbon or a star to put on a ribbon. If I do 60 VEs, if I do 60, and that vessel exams, if I do 60 program visits, that's another, each one of those is a performance award. But guess what? You have to do them in 1 year, and you put those two together, and that's 120. That's enough for the first year of the recreational boating safety insignia. You have to get 120 for 2 years in a row. I mean, these are goals that you can explain to your members. You can talk about at your meetings, and you can talk about at your staff and say, these are things that you can do. And not every member is worried about things. I want to go ahead and get my 10. I want to go ahead and get my 5. I'd like to get 20 hours underway this year. They have their own goals, and that's fine. But, if you have someone that's energetic and they want to do a little more, then, and one of the most terrible things to me is I've seen it happen time and time again, and here's a guy or a girl, and they just did 59 hours underway. And, they could have been recognized at the flotilla meeting or a division meeting or at the banquet if they just got 1 more hour. And if they don't know about it, they're not gonna be watching it. But if they do know about it, then, they probably would try to get that 1 more hour or that 1 more VE. So, whatever way